Hello friends, welcome to yet another session on essay perspectives. I am sorry that I could not make videos for the last 2 weeks because of some professional commitments. So friends, the topic for today is freedom is the power to choose our own change. Before wasting much time, we'll start. As always, I have a personal request, friends. Third edition of my book Ethics, Integrity and Aptitude has unfortunately been pirated. Pirated copies are of very low paper and print quality. I urge all of you to buy original. Original copies can be bought by scanning this QR code or by clicking this link. Thank you. Friends, every essay topic has to be first conceptualized as being made of various components and subcomponents. So this essay also on the similar lines has been conceptualized as being made of these components. First we would introduce the topic, then we would dwell upon the essence of the topic, then we would discuss how the concept of change gets manifested, then we would ponder upon as to why would one choose change, then how to effectively use freedom, then we would introduce an element of criticality into the essay when we would argue that does one choose change always, then we would conclude. Friends, as soon as I saw this topic, suddenly my mind could conceive one hypothetical scenario. Hypothetical scenario in a caste society, caste-ridden society, where the caste is arranged in a hierarchical order, where people from lower caste are exploited by people from upper caste. This is the society. But this is the flaw in the society. In order to reform this social practice, so raises one social reformer who decides to eliminate this caste system in order to usher in the concepts of equality, equity in the society. Correct? So his idea is to make people, see, his idea is people are already chained to a particular caste. Correct? So they are not free. They are bound by something called caste. Correct? So by being bound to a caste, they are being dictated by the canons prescribed by that caste. Correct? So that means they are chained. Correct? So he decides to give them freedom. What is that freedom? He decides that, he decides to create a casteless society. So he comes up with a strategy. The strategy is he enunciates certain principles and he calls upon the people to renounce their castes and then start following his principles. His principles are basically egalitarian principles. By following these principles, whoever follows his principles would become casteless. Correct? So thus, he wants people to come out of it. Okay, he wants to give freedom to the people to come out of those chains. Correct? But what actually transpires in ideal scenario? So people should get excited about this opportunity. So because all these days they are bound by caste. Correct? So now they are coming out of that caste. So they are getting freedom. Correct? So ideally what should happen? They are coming out and they have gotten freedom. But what transpires is very interesting. So then all those people who come out of their caste fold would eventually see they have come out of their caste fold to remain casteless. Correct? But unfortunately, instead of remaining casteless, all such people group together and they create their own new caste. Correct? So this is a hypothetical scenario. In this hypothetical scenario, the freedom was given to all these individuals to break away from the chain that they are tied to or they are bound by. Correct? But once they got the freedom, so they have gotten into another chain, nothing difference. So basically, so that is what, so whenever we give freedom to the individuals, many individuals, instead of realizing the potential of the freedom, would instead try to get attached to a new chain. Correct? So new form of exploitation. Correct? Okay, let us elaborate. Okay friends, so what are the key terms? So the first key term in the essay statement is freedom. What is freedom? Freedom is choice. So a person, if he is able to choose, make choice, then he is regarded to have, he is supposed to have got freedom, correct? If you don't have freedom, you cannot make choice, correct? Let us try to expand this concept a little bit. Okay, when can you make choice? Correct, you can make choice when you don't have external constraints. Correct, so that means, let us say you are a student, correct? You are not financially independent, you are dependent on your father or parent for continuation of your education. Then you cannot make free choices always. Many times you are bound by the advice of your father, mother. You are forced to. See, you want to pursue a course, correct? That is your passion. But your father says, I would not pay up the fees if you pursue that course. So then you cannot pursue that course. So that means there is an external constraint. Okay. So that means when these external constraints are removed, then an individual can make free choices. Correct. So freedom implies removal of all the external constraints. Correct. So this is, but though it appears to be a convincing explanation, but this is a shallow explanation of concept of freedom. Why? Because mere absence of external constraints would not prod a person to make the right choices. Correct. See, if you don't have external constraints, you can make choice. Correct. But that does not mean you are endowed with the ability to make the right choice, right? So our objective is, you should have freedom. Correct. That freedom should allow you to make the right choice. So making right choice has two aspects to it. One is absence of external constraints to make that free choice. Second, ability to make the right choice. The mere fact that you don't have external constraints should not lead you to make wrong choice. So that is freedom. Freedom in its entirety means the ability of an individual to make the right choices. That actually completes the concept of freedom. Okay. Then power. So power implies ability to impact independent factors to act as the one who wields power wishes. Means you can make choices, that's it. Okay. So then comes the concept of chains. So here, what does chain represent? Anyway, we would discuss about the concept of chains at a greater detail in the next slide. But what does chain represent? Chain represents absence of free will. See, physically also, when you are chained, you cannot move because you are chained, you are tied. Correct? But when you are chained psychologically, that means you cannot exercise your will freely. Correct? So now let us bring together all the concepts. Okay, let us reread the essay statement. Freedom gives the power to choose our own chains. Correct? So essentially what they are saying is, freedom essentially implies removal of external constraints so that you can make your choices. But unfortunately, thanks to absence of ability to make right choices, individuals would end up getting chained. Instead of exercising free will, individuals would end up subjugating themselves to one or the other psychological exploitative systems. So this is what the essay statement all about. Friends, after understanding the essence of the statement, now it is important for us to understand how the concept of chains get manifested. The first way in which it gets manifested is master-servant relationship. So all of us are aware what is master-servant relationship. So there is one master, there is one servant. So the servant would listen to his master. Correct? Servant does not have any independence, does not have any freedom. Correct? So here the chains essentially means that master-servant relationship. So once you get chained, you start listening to one person blindly. It can be anything. So let us take the example of relationship between a college boy and a girl. Okay, so even teenagers for that matter. So here also there is master-servant. There is a possibility of master-servant relationship. See, if the freedom is given, correct, if the freedom is given to the college going teenager to choose his or her life partner, then they would finally get they would finally get into some relationship. That relationship can manifest as servant master relationship. So you just blindly go and you like someone and you keep listening to him. So he may exploit you, she may exploit you, and finally you get chained. The freedom given by a parent to his child would not be used in the right way. So finally a person gets unshackled from the chains imposed by the parents and tries to get shackled to the chains imposed by their partners or whatever. Correct? So that is the first manifestation. Second manifestation is group conformity. So here friends, it is conformity. What is this conformity? So group conformity essentially means a group has some group rules, and in order to continue to be member of that group, you are trying to conform to those norms. So again, coming back to the example of a college student, so see, you want to be a part of groups in the college, cohorts in the college, right? So there, let us say the norm is the student has to smoke, the student has to booze, whatever. So in order to just conform to those norms, because you don't want to be isolated from the group of say 6-8 people who represent that group or who constitute that group for whatever. So then what do? You want to conform to those group norms. So in order to conform to those group norms, you don't exercise your free will, you use your freedom, but you just try to follow that. Correct? Then diffidence. Diffidence is absence of confidence. See, whenever you are in a chain, whenever you are psychologically chained to some ideology, some leader, some master, whatever, the main outcome is diffidence. You are not confident to get out of it. Correct? See, in the past two examples only, whatever I have given, you cannot walk out of that relationship because you are not confident to live on your own. You cannot come out of that friends group because you are afraid that you would invite social disapproval or whatever. So thus it manifests as diffidence. So diffidence, whenever you are in the chain, you are not confident. Then comes superstition. Over a period of time, you are so much psychologically tied to a particular ideology, particular leader, particular concept, whatever. Your belief becomes blind belief and you turn superstitious. If somebody asks you, why are you doing this? You have no answer. You would just say that Mr. X told me to do and I am doing it. I am bound to do it. Is your thought process. So you turn superstitious. Then closed-minded. See, a person, when he or she is chained, he is not open to an alternative viewpoint. This happens in religious groups, right? So you try to defend the tenets and canons of your own religion so much so that if an alternative liberal principal liberal viewpoint is presented, instead of incorporating that in your religious canons to make your religion more and more progressive, you would try to criticize that alternate viewpoint tooth and nail. Correct? So that is because you are closed minded, you are not open minded. And then subjectivity. See, we know, right, what is subjectivity and objectivity. By subjectivity I mean I would try to analyze or perceive a particular scenario, particular person, particular situation, particular issue as I am, but not as the issue is, as the person is, as the ideology is, or whatever. Correct? So that means your assessment of the external environment is heavily influenced by who you are rather than by what that external environment actually is. So when you are chained, you don't want to be open-minded and observe the external environment objectively. Then biases. That biases can be anything. So you are biased. Finally you think whoever follows the tenets of your religion are good people. Whoever tries to rebel and try to do something good, they are not good people. So these biases unknowingly get formed in your mind. So these are all the ways in which chains get manifested. Okay, friends, now we are coming to the heart of the essay statement, heart of the essay. See, here we see ideally what happens, all the scenarios which I narrated, whether it is being subjective, whether it is being biased, whether being diffident, whether being superstitious, whatever, all these things are undesirable things, right? A commonsensical man would, given a choice, given a chance, would definitely try to get out of all these things and try to do things in a better way. Correct? So, but this is intuition. Intuitively we think so. But things don't work that way. So even if you bring a person out of that chain, out of that psychological subjugation, he or she wants to go into another chain. Correct? So that is counterintuition, but that's how the society works. Correct? So why would individuals do that is the next question. Why would they not make the right choices even when all those external constraints are removed? Okay. The first thing is because of myopic attitude. What is myopia? What is myopic attitude? It essentially means short-sightedness. Correct? So that means the right choices may have their results coming in the distant future, but these people cannot look into the future. So individuals become short-sighted and try to make wrong choices. The best example is sustainable choices made by individuals. See, all of us are aware that a healthy lifestyle would lead to longevity, would lead to better quality of life, right? So that means an individual is advised to get into physical activity. So an individual is advised to walk more, use less of elevator, more of stairs. I give you a very simple example. Correct? So that means now you have the freedom. You can very well go by lift or you can very well go by stairs. Very simple. Correct? So here this freedom, ideally I should use that freedom to improve my health. Correct? So I should ideally choose stairs. Correct? But I don't do that. Why? Because I am short-sighted. I feel climbing stairs would make me little tired, would make me fatigued, would give me some pain, whatever. And more than anything, it takes a lot of time. So I just want to get into an elevator, press the floor and then go and get into that floor. Okay. So this is short-sightedness. So that means, see, I am given freedom, but that freedom I am using to get myself chained, correct? So next is instant gratification. Similar, it is a corollary of the concept that I explained it to you. Everybody wants instant gratification. You don't want to wait for long. The best example is drug addiction. Correct? An individual, let us say a father has given full freedom to his son. Okay? Thinking that his son would tread the right path. But staying disciplined, staying focused would not give you instant gratification, right? So you want instant gratification, so you get you get addicted, you get drugged, so you get yourself into, you embrace system abuse or substance usage, whatever. So thus the human mind is endowed or inclined to have instant gratification. This is the second issue. So this instant gratification prods an individual to choose chains. Right choices don't give you instant gratification. They take their own time. Third one is ignorance. Sometimes you may not be aware at all. You're just ignorant enough to make the right choice. You are ignorant. As simple as it. You don't know what it means to wait and make the right choice because you're not aware of a better choice. This is what is presented before you. For example, let us say you have gotten you have gotten some prize money, some lottery ticket. Okay, you have earned some 1 crore rupees. Correct? Maybe you are not aware how to use that 1 crore. Maybe you are not aware where to invest that 1 crore. So you can very well just put that 1 crore in a bank deposit and then keep quiet. Correct? So that is because of your ignorance. Then comes emotional intoxication. Many people are emotionally intoxicated. So that means they cannot think rationally. They don't want to make rational choices. So this is very dangerous, emotional intoxication. So a person who is brainwashed with a particular ideology would not think rationally. Whatever that is, that ideology propounds, enunciates, is taken to be the golden truth, golden source of truth. So that emotional intoxication also would force individuals to choose to make wrong choices. Then excessive self-esteem. So this is a very tricky thing. So sometimes you have so much self-esteem of yourself, that self-esteem limits your choices. See, you think let us say you think I'm an IIM graduate or an IIT graduate, maybe I have gotten gold medal, maybe etc. etc. So that does not let you to go to ground reality and do certain things. Correct? So many individuals, because of these things of excessive self-esteem, would limit their choices. Correct? So that's also very dangerous. So then you are chaining yourself. Then lack of courage to stand for truth. Some individuals lack courage to stand for truth. For example, Galileo. Okay. So everyone else, believed in geocentric theory. Correct? So that Earth was at the center and all the planets are revolving around the Earth. It was Galileo who propounded this, or who popularized this heliocentric theory. See, why did he do that? See, everybody was chained to an earlier theory. Nobody had the guts to tell that openly. Okay? But Galileo had the guts to tell it openly. Everybody got caged. Everybody got chained except Galileo. What was one thing that made Galileo do it? Because he had the courage to stand for that truth. Today, so we are all accepting to the truth. Correct? So many people would not have that power, would not have courage to do that. Then fear of humiliation. See, whenever you are in a group, you start propounding some rational ideas, rational courses of action. Then initially you would be laughed at, you would be mocked at, you are called eccentric, you are humiliated. So in order to safeguard your self-esteem from being humiliated, you don't try to, you continue to get chained, correct? Then last, need for sense of security. See, finally you want some security, right? That may be physical security or emotional security. Both you would derive only by being in a group, correct? So thus you are somehow forced to be in that group. If you don't do that, if you cannot stay in that group, then you lose this security, sense of security. So in order to have that sense of security, you are forced to choose one or the other chain. Now friends, it is amply clear that freedom is important, but even though freedom is given, individuals end up choosing one or the other psychological subjugation rather than choosing their free will, correct? Then how to effectively use this freedom? Once freedom is given, how should you use it? The first is self-awareness. You should be aware of your strengths, weaknesses, etc., etc. You should know about yourself. Only when you are aware of yourself, let us say you are aware that you have the tendency to get attracted to get attracted to let us say colorful things. Okay, that colorful things is a metaphor. You can ascribe the meanings of your choice. Okay, that can be drugs, that can be anything. Okay, so now if you are aware that you are someone who gets attracted easily, and once you get addicted, it's very difficult for you to stop it, then maybe that self-awareness would prevent you from getting addicted in the first place. If you are aware that once you get addicted to a colorful thing, you cannot come out, that awareness would prevent you from getting addicted in the very first place. So that self-awareness is important. Then the second thing is, you should become a well-learned, well-informed and commonsensical guy. What do I mean by this? That means you should be a well-read guy, well-informed guy. So I was talking about the concept of ignorance, right? See, so many times we make wrong choices because our thinking is very narrow. We don't know what else can be done. We are just given freedom, but we don't know how to use that freedom. When would you be able to use that freedom effectively? Only when you know how can it be used, where can it be used. I gave you the example of that somebody getting 1 crore lottery prize, right? You have gotten money, but if you are not knowledgeable, you would either put it in your almirah, or you would keep it in some bank. You would not know whether to put it in some business, put it in some securities, put it in stock market, etc., etc., etc. Correct? So that means first you should become a well-informed, well-learned guy. Then you would be able to say, no, this is a wrong choice, that is the right choice. And also you would know that first you would get to know the availability, your understanding of the choices would get expanded. Second, you would be in a better position to guide, a better position to understand what is right, what is wrong. Correct? Then dissect the anatomy of choices. See, whenever you are taking up a choice, you should have the ability to dissect the anatomy of it. What do I mean by this? That means you should be able to dispassionately say, okay, by reading this path, these are the merits, these are the demerits. So for this merits and for these demerits, keeping both in mind, what should I do? Correct? So that ability should be there, that critical ability should be there, or otherwise you will become a blind follower. Next, belong yet stay away. That means whenever you have made a choice, you should not get too deeply into that course. You should be very liberal. You should be in that, but you should not be in that also. So you should belong to it, but yet you should stay away. That means you should know your limitations. Once you go too deeply into it, then you cannot come out. It's a mire. It's a morass, it's a mire. Okay? Then last is have an exit mechanism. See, many times we make a choice. No English, whatever. But once you realize that it is wrong, you should have an exit mechanism in place. So that means sometimes you get into it, you cannot come out gone. Correct? So these are some of the ways in which you should be able to use your freedom effectively. Then friends, after explaining this much, stating that freedom is mostly used for making the wrong choice, correct? Then is it always so? No. Freedom is not used always to make a wrong choice. There are scenarios where freedom is used to make the right choices also. Correct? It depends on the individual. Then when would one may use freedom to make the right choice? Some freedom is used to break away from exploitation many times. To break away from conventions, break away from restrictions. So first let us take exploitation. If freedom is given, many individuals, let us say a group of individuals are being exploited ruthlessly. Take the example of capitalist labor for that matter. But you give them some alternate employment, they would definitely try to come out of this, correct? Because all these days they are working under that ruthless capitalist only because they have no other choice. So you give them freedom, you give them choices, they will definitely come out. So that exploitation would end, they may themselves become entrepreneurs, correct? Then conventions. So this is, many times there is always a set path for everything, right? So only when freedom is given, many people would come out of that convention, challenge that convention, break that convention and create an altogether new path, correct? So there are many examples, right? So many examples of many women coming out, being rebellious, doing great things. So next, the best example is Gunjan Saxena, friends. I think all of you must have watched that movie where everybody thought pilot was not meant for, that to fighter pilot was not meant for a female flying officer. What did Gunjan Saxena do? Because her father gave her freedom, instead of misusing that freedom, she used that freedom to make the right choice and she became the first women fighter pilot of the country, of Indian Air Force, correct? Then restrictions. Many people use this freedom to break away from restrictions. So these restrictions would not allow you to let your potential blossom to the fullest possible extent. Okay. So thus freedom is not always used for choosing a chain. At times it is used to realize one's potential also. Friends, after this elaborate discussion, it is time for conclusion. Friends, the conclusion is simple. From the above discussion, we can safely conclude that freedom would definitely do away with external constraints. However, a person should be smart enough in effectively utilizing his or her freedom to make the right choices. Okay friends, let's meet next week with another exciting topic. Thank you. All the best.